relatively quickly, but we're not quite certain. Juries can do all kinds of crazy things. So we'll keep an eye on that. We will probably get a heads up of a pretty good amount of time before the verdict is read. So that's going on in Minneapolis and around the country, not just Minneapolis. City law enforcement agencies, state, county, are getting ready for what they expect would be some amount of demonstration. You can argue that if Derek Chauvin is acquitted on all of those charges, it's going to go one way, and if he's found guilty of one or more of them, it's going to go another way. But police and sheriff's departments don't have the opportunity to just wait and see, so they've got to prepare. One of the things that's been happening, of course, is that the LAPD, the LA County Sheriff's Department, has been reviewing everything that happened last summer and going over whatever sort of tactics they need to fix, amend, etc. And in fact, there were protests in March that resulted in a federal judge ordering the LAPD not to fire their less than lethal weapons at protesters in close range.
The judge also ruled the officers cannot use the weapons indiscriminately. This is U.S. District Judge Consuelo Marshall's ruling, and it comes at an odd time, or ironic time, or perfect timing.
Perfect, yeah.
Police agencies across the country obviously have asked for calm, but like you said, that's probably not going to happen. This was a lawsuit filed by the local BLM chapter in response to the LAPD's use of 40mm and 37mm rounds fired from less than lethal rifles and launchers. The group says the LAPD struck a journalist unconscious at that event in March when an officer fired a round at their back. As part of the complaint, Black Lives Matter LA submitted a report that analyzed the LAPD's use of crowd-controlled tactics, revealed people were struck in the face and the head by the rounds during the protests last summer.
They also said at these in March that somebody was shot in the right arm between the elbow and shoulder. Their partner was shot at close range. LAPD officers did fire on protesters at distances of less than 2 feet and then aimed the rounds at the upper body, which, according to the complaint, is in violation of department policy.
So Judge Marshall has ordered the LAPD to fire from distances not less than 5 feet from protesters and to not aim their weapons at a person's upper body, that's going to be difficult in the skirmish of everything.
Well, the judge did carve out some things. You have to use the less than lethal weapons have to be used by trained and certified officers. They said that police must give a verbal warning and give people a chance to comply before they fire, but that officers can use those less than lethal rounds when they are attacked or when a protester poses a threat to others. So there are instances where whatever the judge ruled kind of goes out the window. And some of those instances we saw way too often in June and then again in March when people started throwing stuff at police officers.
Well, the police chief, Michael Moore, came out this morning and said a directive has been issued this morning to LAPD personnel about an immediate moratorium on the use of the 37mm launcher and a directive restricting the use of the 40mm launcher to only officers who have been trained. Those officers who have been trained can only use that 40mm launcher on people who pose